What is up, folks? Casual Dad here with another Warhammer Combat Cards video, and today we're going to talk about the limited campaign for the Warhammer Combat Cards Anniversary. I forget which one it was, but it's a big one. So we'll go ahead and jump right in here. First off, we're going to look at the two free cards. I believe they're both open right now, and I haven't played this campaign at all yet, so you're going to see all of this fairly fresh with me. So, first off, I know I want this guy. He is an awesome combination of stats and ability, having a decent ranged attack, including a melee attack, good hit points at 20 points cost is great, plus shields, and he's common, so he's going to level really quickly once you get a couple copies. So I want at least one, more is better. And then this guy, I don't care. I know it's a good card, but if I get it really high level, great, but it's epic. And it doesn't really fit into a slot that I don't have other cards I want to level more, so I'm going to get it, but who cares? But we have two separate quests running right now, and I believe we'll be able to level both of them at once. So we got Bulky, Fast, Infantry Monster, or Walker will be the bonus ones for the yellow guy, Litanus. And then for Bayard's Revenge, we got Bulky, Fast, Infantry Monster, Walker. I believe that's the same. Yes, okay. So let's give it a whirl and see if we get progression on both. Considering it's an anniversary event, we can expect to get quite a few pretty significant giveaways, even if the games themselves are tough, so sweet. Let's take a look at the modifiers. All right, even playing field, so we're looking at max level. Get 400 deck points, so they're going to be big. Apocalypse, so it is going to start out of the gate pretty tough. Cool, they got a new little tagline in there, nice. That may not be new, but I've never really noticed it before, my bad. An Aura of Rage, so melee decks where cards stay on the board for a longer time are going to be favored. And then looking at the campaign, you can play as either Imperial faction, that's Space Marines and or Servants of the Emperor, Eldar, or Tau. And then you're going up against Orcs, Chaos, Necrons, Tyranids in whatever combination. Now, in honor of the major warlord being Helbrecht himself, who is crazy good at max level, that's the one I'm probably going to get through this on, but because this is a new campaign video and I haven't done this one before, I'm going to opt for someone else. So I'm just going to look at my, yes, I saw that. So looking just at my melee heavy warlords, and the ones who have a lot of staying power. So first one right out of the gate is going to be Rakarth, so let's go ahead and jump right in there. And then I have 400 deck points. One of the more fun pieces is actually trying to spend this. It looks like pretty much every single card in the game is actually going to give you a bonus, so you can play with whatever you want, which is kind of fun. So we're scrolling all the way to the, wow, you can also mix factions. God, it's going to take all day. Okay, so I'm going to park at the bottom at the most expensive cards and then move up from there and spend a minute with that. Wow, God, that takes forever. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and slap this guy in there because he's freaking incredible and lives forever at max level. And then we're going to play through this. So here's what's funny. So Rakarth has the trait where he'll ramp up the health of my cards. That's not going to matter as much at 400 points. Things are going to live and die fairly quickly. And in the grand scheme of things, that 7 health per death is going to be fairly low. That said, I'm going to still stick with it and focus on Eldar cards first and see which ones I can squeeze in here and just how monstrous I can make this. I wish there was a way to filter this. Can I filter it by faction? No? Bummer. Okay. So that's going to take a nice long time to go ahead and go through these. Leaning on durable melee. And I am going to want to do some fear. My Botharoth is super low level, so I never use them. Let's try him. Ooh, Furious Charge. Nice. Okay. Perfect. Of course, we've got Jane herself. We got the Letheran Gwill. Let's mix it up. I'll throw in a little. Ooh, that's 60 points at the end here to spend. Wow, I didn't get expensive enough stuff. What's the other most expensive Eldar card? It's not the. Oh, hello. Why not? Let's do it. And then we see someone to sub out. Who's my next up? Melee heavy Eldar card. Da 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 da. You don't count. Da 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 da. You're up there. I need 3 points. I could go up to 30. Who's at 30? Man, there's so many cards. That'll work. I'm gonna go 32. Which is, yeah. Alright, buddy. Sorry, dude. Yeah, that'll work. Cool. Now, I've heard tell that at least one of the opposing decks has 2 Keepers of Secrets, so if I see Chaos, I need to watch out for that. Some of the tips I gave in the previous one, if you're doing Apocalypse, max level cards, really large decks, you will want to put in Big Game Hunter. Now, chances are you don't really need it, and which I am hoping is true because I don't have it. But yeah, ooh, gnarly start. Hill poison in there, that's good and bad. That's max level poison, which will do some work here, but he's got big game hunter, which is exactly what you don't want in this case. We'll just have these two wail on each other. Change my mind about that, and we'll see if that ends up being the right choice. That'll work. So I got my death blow out of the middle lane, which is not what you want. You want him to blow up for maximum damage in the center, but it should work out just fine. Now the downside to this, to playing a heavy melee deck, is that because of the Aura of Rage thing, where you can see all of our cards on board getting the boost to melee damage, and it's both sides. Because of that, opposing decks are also going to benefit from the trait as well, and they're going to be very melee themed too. So anything you bring in this, you're going to want to make sure it can out melee a scarier force across the board. Oof. And then also, I don't know where I was going with that. That's pretty much it. You got to make sure it can out melee the force across the board. I'm going to regret that because my Kronos is immediately going to die. Talos, pardon. That's right. So yes, so that is a downside, and one reason you may want to play this and ignore the modifier, and just go ahead and play your most powerful ranged decks or something else, because the opponent is going to be really gunning for you in melee. So it'll be good to have a deck that is defensively melee-centric, can do a lot of damage on defense for your attack backs, but also leans on ranged as your sort of primary attack type. So that is kind of what I'm thinking of if this ends up being difficult. Usually these campaigns are not actually all that challenging, which is good, because they're long and could take quite a while to chow through. So the longer it takes to go ahead and get through these, the less fun they can be. So I really enjoy the momentum of faster games, really aggressive games where you get to see cards to their full potential. But yeah, we'll see if I get horribly, horribly beaten here. An Archifane, that was an unexpected one. If you're going to see a lot of max level fear cards, I do also recommend including target acquired, because you want to be able to take those guys out, and as you can see here, it takes a long time if you have to take them head to head. But if you can get them from an angle, they'll go a lot faster. And also you could definitely see how beneficial it would be to have that big game hunter in here. It's taking a long time to chew through these guys, and that bonus attack damage would be nice. But I still think this should be no problem, especially with the amount of Psychic I'm about to unleash here. It is against Abaddon. Oh, Abby. But still, I think I should have little trouble wrapping this up. See what you got, y'all. Bloop. Especially with the Incarn staying on the board this long. He's got a crazy melee attack right now. Ooh, I didn't quite get him, did I? Still have one in the deck aside from Rakarth himself, so yeah, this should be fine. But closer than I had hoped. So I played a little crazy. I just swung at him without really thinking about what I was doing too much, and I had a couple lineups that were not good. So we'll be a little bit more methodical and thoughtful in our next match. However, I should have very little trouble with this guy. Ooh, man, that Inspire was doing some work. And that's also max level fear from Abaddon himself, so I want to be really careful. I don't want to put anything in front of him that he can take down too easily, because that will... He could one-hit swing and do some real damage, especially with the modifier. And that fear, giving him a couple turns of breathing room where he otherwise wouldn't. But no, I got him. Sweet. Okay. So this is an Eldar deck. I'm going to go ahead and muck around with a couple others just to see what's in here and get some of the rewards. Most of the stuff I wanted to say I already have, so hey, if you're sticking with me, kudos. Cool, so I got one. And I didn't check if this rewards track is you get a reward after... Ooh, sweet, they're both active. Cool. I didn't check if you get a reward after each match or if it's every other. It's every other. Okay, so to get to this guy, you have to have 17 wins. Luckily, we have 3 days to do it, counting today, if you're already ahead of me. So I'm going to go ahead and play around with some decks I really like. One of my favorite warlords who I always love to see at max level is Vol. You really don't see her very much, and it's not the best test because it's a 400-point deck, so it's not actually what she's going to be like in combat. But still, it's cool to see it. Her ability is a shield that gives cards a 30% reduction in damage the first 3 times they're hit. So it's kind of a shield, but it's really just a base damage reduction, which is both better and worse. And it applies to all of your cards, so that's awesome. Generally speaking, I would say don't use shields with Vol because they're wasted, because she's got her damage reduction, but it does not prevent you from losing a shield, so it's no benefit. It's not necessarily a downside. It's still a good idea to bring shields, but I just tend to take other cards instead. And you're a servant's card too, aren't you? Yeah, let's bust some of these guys out. So these guys are a little bit more ranged heavy, a little bit more flexible. Got some big game hunter in there. I'm going to run out of deck space with her real quick and end up having to put some chaff pieces in there, but hey, we'll do it. I did mention that you probably want to take your ranged heavy pieces. Ideally the ones that also can shoot back in, that hit back in melee. So like those two are prime example, or this guy's a prime example. This one is excellent. Oh, he's so good. And at max level fear plus inspire with these stats with a damage reduction, this guy's not going anywhere. But we'll see how that goes in this campaign where offense is going to be a little bit more valuable than defense. Looking at some of these other pieces, I may not want, I want that guy. That one's good melee. I will take this guy out and kind of sprinkle this a bit more. What you got? This guy never dies. It's pretty good at max level. I'll go and throw you in there. The cards I really like in Vol decks are going to be your cards that have Berserk, so that they build up power over the course of the game, because that is a very good ability to have with a damage reduction ability as well. Yeah, so that's Dragon. And regen is also really good too, because you're taking less damage initially, so your regen will be more impactful. My personal deck normally has a lot more shooting, but it's sprinkled a bit. I've got a couple of my favorite enrage cards. I don't remember what level that guy's at. Oh, so good. I should throw this guy in here if I have the points, which I don't right now, but I can. Do I want to bring you? Yeah, stats are great. Max level Medicaid and regen. Yeah, I want him. Yeah. The card I'm looking for is 20. Yes, he is. This guy is awesome in Vol decks, especially at max level. Don't have the points for him. Let's see what I have in my 16 band. Because I like the other cards in here as is. Ooh. Now again, we do want melee attacks, but he's a really good card with this combo. I do already have several Inspires, but why not another one, especially with Furious Charge? Yeah, you'll slot it nicely. All right, cool. See how this goes. My personal favorite thing about Vol decks is, of course, the ability. She just makes everything tougher, so you can try combinations that are a little bit glassier, that do a bunch of damage and don't usually take punishment back. But it's nice to sprinkle in some... Oh, against Mozrog. Yuck. I'm glad I'm doing a range deck. That was timely. Okay, and just as a recap, his ability is whenever he does a melee attack, any card that does a melee attack gains, what is it, 15% of its... 10% of its base wounds. So cards will heal as they punch, which is gnarly. So this is going to be a tough matchup. I do want to get my big game hunter in there early, because this guy will rank up health insanely quickly. That is a bummer. Wow, okay. So I'm seeing this guy at max level. I love this card, especially in a Mozrog deck. I didn't realize that its max level melee stat started that low. That melee, those are really, really low for the cost. Got a lot of hit points, which is what you take it for. And it's also got Berserk. So especially in a Mozrog deck, it charges up insane amounts of health fairly quickly and really benefits from that Berserk. So it's a great card, especially for Mozrog, but I'm significantly less scared of it than I was when I first saw it on the board. And prouder of mine, realizing that it's actually that much closer to max level stats already, even though it's not very high level. So, hey, cool. Ooh. So we got our regen triggering. We're really going to beat up on these guys. And then by the time the next row comes out, I'm going to have a pretty significant built-up melee attack on my side. Wow, God, the thing is tanky. Oh, and there we go. So they're ramped up fast. So we are seeing it build up some pretty dramatic stats. But he doesn't want to hit me in melee either, because right now my melee is actually... Oh, there he goes. Not comparable, but not a slouch at all compared to him. And look at that, 40 health regained. Add on top of that your Medicaid and your regen cards too. It is really tough to punch through a high-level Mozrog deck, unless you have some bonkers durable field like we do, or a max-level deck, which we also do. So, good job, Vol. That damage reduction is marked by a signature shimmer, which you'll notice none of my cards have anymore because they have all lost it. Ooh, that's going to be unfortunate. Also, Mazrog's ability doesn't specify whether it's an actual attack or an attack on deploy, so Furious Charge does give it that healing right out of the gate. Ouch. Okay. Bad news just got wiped. Good news, I have his entire lineup to deal with to take that down. Other bad news, my best pieces to go up against that are also 40 points. So, we'll see how this goes. So there you got that shield up. Ooh, I'm gonna pop this in there. This is exactly the lineup I don't want to see. So we're gonna go ahead and activate a couple times and see about defensive attacks. But I do need to clear these guys quickly because they are getting that modifier pulled up. So they're, nice, the melee debuff. Look at you, Strachan, doing the work. This guy's awesome. He takes forever to level. Mine is still like level 4, and I need him to get better. Especially because the more helpful of his two traits is that Berserk, and I want it. And I think I have like level 2 and 1 traits. And I need both of them to be at least trait 3 before I really seriously use them. Ooh, do we bust out? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Bring him out. Let's pull Mazrog himself, which will make this get closer to a head. And I think I mentioned when I started this game that Vol herself is one of my favorite parts about this, or I was about to say that, and that's what I meant to say. She costs 44, which is a bummer, but she's got max fear and max inspire and some baller base stats, plus 330 hit points. So she is a monster in combat, and one of the best endgame pieces in the game. She is very, very good in basically any situation. And if you end up one-on-one with a Warlord, she's one of the few kind of brawlers that can stand up to the really bursty ones. Like Gaz even takes a while to take her down because all of those stats and abilities are also on top of her damage reduction shield, which she does get. And at max level, so max level fear plus the damage reduction, like one-on-one, it takes so long to bring her down. She's just a fantastic piece. Oof, gross. Let's get in there, Vol. Do your job. That was a weird statement. I don't know why I said that, but no. Vol is also a really cool character because she is famously someone who likes to lead from the front, so I really like how her stats and abilities really reflect that, where she is a terrifying piece you actually want on the board reasonably early. And that's one of the sort of downsides to her decks is she's hard to level because she's legendary and fairly rare, so it takes a while to get her there, but then also most of the time her decks are so durable that games with her are very, very long. Even if you win, it's kind of a slow attrition slog, but it happens. Alright, so 2 for 2. We'll get our first stack of rewards. I'm going to do just a couple. Oh, there you are. I may bust out a Tolmeron deck now that I have this guy at level 1. Hello. There we go. Because max level. All I need is one copy to go ahead and run him at max level. So, cool. Okay, man. There we go. And we got our first deck. And this one downside to this is that I appreciate getting all the free packs. That's great. But because there's such a huge variety of campaigns and factions in this, it's totally random. There's no, like, you're not going to get just Votann cards, for example, like we got in the last campaign. All right, who's next? So I said I was going to do a ranged deck. Let's see if this new guy is as good as I think he is. And I'm pretty excited about him. So I'm going to grab him in my 20-point band, and then I'll drop way to the bottom and pick some of the big beefy guys. Now this is a downside. I actually don't think Tolmeron is a really great choice here because a lot of his best cards don't have melee attacks. So I actually don't recommend him. Let's see, what is this guy? He's melee right now? Yeah. This guy, underrated. Look at those stats for 16 points and max poison. You're going in there, Donatus. Old Veil himself. I will avail myself of your poison shots. Sorry, I won't do that again. Okay, and now we're going all the way to the bottom for the really pricey ones. Of course, the obvious choice for this is your biggest, burliest flyers. My personal favorite being the one that has Barrage, which is going to be this bad boy here. There you are. Another one of my favorites is actually, where are you, buddy? This guy. Comes at a cheaper price point and has really good attack stats in melee as well, and also has that precision shot, so he does an impact on the board. Really like that combination of stats and abilities. One of my favorite cards to bring in. Of course, this is a more common piece. Has that big game hunter and a crazy high base attack stat. I like it, but it's so inflexible. I end up kind of toying with stuff like this guy. who has, again, that combination of attack stats and also has that precision shot. Go ahead and throw him in there. Really lean on those precision shots here. Those, yeah, that's guard. Getting all confused about what is which faction. Which is what faction? Wow, your range attack sucks. Okay, that is an insanely powerful card, but we're not going to deal with that right now. Yeah, we'll throw him in there. His range stat isn't that great, but that's where Tolmaron's ability comes in. His melee attack stat is excellent, combos with the modifier for the campaign, and also he's got that death blow, which can really make up a difference in the end there, especially with attacking back. What do you got? Regen? Yeah, regen. What else we got here? Let's get a little bit weird. So it's Space Marines. I've got a bunch of points to work with. Wow, man, that quickly gets out of there, doesn't it? Oh yeah, we'll throw this guy in here. Absolutely love it that this guy is both Furious Charge and Precision Shot. That cracks me up so much. Did I just see 300 health? That can't be right. Whoa! Okay, that's one of the brand new cards. I don't remember if I've seen him max level. I don't think I have, so we'll throw him in there. And then at 74, I think we can take our biggest, beefiest. What do we got? We're gonna throw this guy in here, and then maybe pull it. Oh yeah, like that outflank. And then we've got 11 over Veil. I don't know if you're actually going to be that good. Let's look at 27. We're going to see the 27 points band. Sort of takes along with deck building, guys. I'm just kind of playing around with this and wanted to kind of talk through my thought process. So we'll drop him because the point is to test this guy. This deck is going to be really scary. So 27 point band, bummer. The 28 band is great. What do we got at 27? Ooh, yeah, that's good too. That'll work. The other option, of course, is this guy, who I do really appreciate because he does have a nice balance of stats, but I think this is the better choice. I do kind of tinker around with my Tolmaron decks going a little bit more balanced than just straight ranged, because otherwise he's pretty two-dimensional and can be countered very easily. But one of the things about max levels is that the key trait, the theme of your warlords is that much better that it's actually worth focusing more directly on the theme itself. Let's get you in here, buddy. Let's see it. Ooh, I'm kind of torn on this one. I don't want to take whatever that's 60. Oh, it's not that bad. Okay, we'll take that. Because I don't want this guy to go down too quickly. I want to give him some time to build up his ranged attacks. Ooh, God, I really need to worry. This is Parasite. So Parasite's ability is when your cards take melee damage, they become infected, and then from then on, whenever they die, they will do to your cards, I think it's 60%, 40%. So they will deal 40, they become a bomb that hits your other cards next to them for 40% of their damage. Which is a real bummer real quick. Wow, that Rock Grinder at max level is no joke. Dang. And I never would have thought to put that in a Parasite deck. That's cool to see that. I don't have the card, so that's one of the reasons I would have thought of, but it's a very balanced card. Scary. And one of the things about that ability I didn't necessarily focus on that I like to talk about is that it takes a melee attack or death blow, which also counts as a melee attack, to trigger the ability. So a card will only be infested if it has taken a melee attack from the Parasite's deck, but once it is infested, it can be killed by any attack. So if you have cards in there with a low melee attack but then a high range, they can still trigger the infestation, but ooh, I'm going to lose all my cards here because, yeah, there it goes. Ooh, bummer. And that may take out my other guy, too, because that was a lot of hit points. Brutal. And now that dude... Okay, good. The poison took him out. Because if I had had to deploy cards on the board with that guy right there, with that infestation, that would have been utterly miserable. Now, this is tricky. I actually don't want to kill this. I mean, I do, but at the same time, that is a really, really bad death blow. Let's give you a try, buddy. Oh, man. And there we have a bunch of death blow that's going to trigger here. Oh, sweet. Okay, so that target acquired is deployed first, so I won't actually get this guy infested for a minute, which is good. Let's see how hard I can hit this. Oh, beautiful. 193. Wow, that's a lot of damage. I usually don't play Tolmaron in these max level events, so it's kind of fun to do this one. I don't play Tolmaron very much, just because he's... Oh, boy, that took a turn. Okay, as we were getting to the bottom of the deck, I suddenly feel dramatically less confident. However, one heck of a first outing with this dude. 20-point shield bro just took a ludicrous amount of damage between both of those waves. About to take out the... Whew, man, that was a lot of damage. I gotta keep the thing alive. Oh, God. And then splat, and then ouch. Okay, and I don't have any taunt in here, so that's going to be a problem very quickly. So... Ugh. Okay. Oh, yuck. And it's his turn, and he's gonna hit me with melee. And I'm gonna take some mad damage. I think pretty much anything I put in that middle was gonna die on that, so he's probably got me here. Yeah, that'll definitely do 77. Okay, so I can only hope that Tolmaron... We're looking at the maximum melee Tolmaron, the scariest of all scary punchy Tolmarons. He will hit with his maximum melee attack plus Inspire, and then also a pretty heavily charged melee attack. Let's see if it's enough to actually finish this off. I might be lucky here. 68, not bad. I think I got it. I did got it. Woo, man, that was close. Okay. And I didn't want to check the stats just to kind of leave some suspense there. That was fun. Okay, that was 3 games down. I'm going to play one more, get that second tier of rewards, and just to kind of show it, but then in the interest of keeping this relatively brief, we'll stop there. Ah, beautiful. That guy, so absolutely worth the 20 points, and really good for a Tolmaron deck, because you just don't get shielded cards that fit with a Tolmaron theme. I'm sure there are some. So, I mean, there are a couple that do okay. In that 26-point band, you have a guy who's middling. I think his stats are around 30 melee and range. Like, he's fine, but this guy's max range stat is so much better that kind of those upper medium levels, he's just going to actually benefit from Tolmaron's trait. Like, yeah, that's a much better balance of stats, better cost. Hit points are around the same. So, like, this guy is going to slot neatly into those Tolmaron decks and give him a little boost, so that's nice. And just generally in Space Marine shooting decks, but of course the first one that comes to mind is Tolmaron. I think this guy also will be really, really good in... shoot, what's his name? We'll check in a second. What's your name? Artemis, this guy. If you do kind of a mixed ranged melee Artemis, a couple shields in there is really good, and that guy also will slot in neatly with those points. So that's a place to look at that. We're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to run what I do think is going to be one of the best decks. Ooh, actually, no, let's mix it up. I'm not going to do it. We're talking melee. I have a deck with this guy that I really enjoy that leans on bikes. So just to talk about the things I figured out with him, this is your Chapter Master, Grandmaster Azrael? What is your Azrael? Supreme Grandmaster, of course. Supreme Grandmaster Azrael. His ability is if you alternate your attack types, so if you do Psychic, then the next turn, if you do anything but Psychic, it will give a flat 15% buff to your attack stats for all of your cards alive on the board. And it's all of them, and it is permanent every single time, which is awesome. Couple downsides, though. Let's see, I'll throw in a couple heavier cards here. It doesn't trigger on the first turn at all, ever, no matter what you're doing, because you haven't used an attack stat yet. We're just going to throw in Dreadnoughts, because they all have nice, really balanced attack stats. And then I'm going to switch it around a bit and probably drop a bunch of those. The Fiston, of course, is the best card in the Space Marine lineup. Let's drop you. Then, of course, we got these two. We got to bring them. We'll drop one of these other really expensive ones. And it is kind of funny. I'm not actually using just card. Oh, yeah, there you are. You max fear, right? Nah, 2 fear, but oh god, that guy is just insane. And so this is going to look a lot like my Helbrecht deck, but it's going to be my Azrael deck. So we're pretty much dropping all of these. And then the cost is going to drop pretty quickly here. Ooh, yeah, these guys. Oh, I should put Arjack in there. Yeah, Arjack. We're going to plot Arjack in there instead. We'll drop him instead of this guy. So I'm going a little bit balanced. My personal deck that I actually am using in the ladder uses my level 2 Supreme Grandmaster Azrael. Oh, can I get you in there with your shields? Probably not. Where are we at 32? Leans on bikes. So I've got bikes and jump pack troops because they have really high initiative. So he ends up going first, which gives you a faster time to ramp up that passive ability, which is awesome. I'll throw him in there. Why not? Take a quick look at what's around. Oh, no, there we go. Yeah, I need some of that big game money. Yeah. Big game hunter. This guy's base attack stat is just nuts. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, really enjoying playing with this guy. He's actually one of my most competitive Space Marine warlords, even though, again, mine is level 2, so he himself is bad. At max level, his stats are actually really great to be a standalone warlord, but the reason you take him is for his ability. Because it gets way out of hand real fast. The key thing being that it's a flat buff to all of your friendly cards. It applies... Jeez, there we go. Throw one of those shields in there. Have some useful. It applies to all of their attack stats, regardless of which one you actually use. And it doesn't go away when a key card dies. So, like, Helbrecht is absolutely crazy, crazy good, but his ability is tied to the card that got it. So if that card is removed, the buff goes away from the other cards. Whereas this one, they just keep it. It's just there. Wow! All right, take a step back here. When I saw... So here, I could punch these guys. It may actually be a good choice, but I'm going to go ahead and build that up a bit. When I saw the deck size against me, I was like, oh, this isn't going to be that bad. He's only got 7 cards in that deck. But then I saw what he actually dropped, and holy crap, that is going to be unfortunate. But let's see how much horrible damage we can do back here. So last turn I did Psychic. We're getting a handy visual cue here telling me I can do ranged or melee to get the buff. And the buff is applied before you attack and is applied underneath your ready. So I'll get this bonus on top. So I'll do this. It says what I'm actually going to get. That is not correct. I'll hit it again. It applies the buff, and then we'll see my actual attack stats, which will be completely bananas. Look at that. I almost two-shot this guy, and it wasn't even my turn. I still have to watch Astaroth. I'm really glad he's still my toughest guy on the board because he's very difficult to kill, and so will be unlikely to trigger off of our collector's ability here. I hope, because man, do I ever not want to face Astaroth. I don't want to go up against Astaroth. Now, here's what gets to be a bit of a bummer, is now I have... Now I just did melee. I want to do melee again, but instead I have to do one of my other attack types. I certainly don't want to shoot that, so we'll do this. The good news about that is you get to build up your melee attack, and then I will also get the buff to it in my next turn. I am going to lose Tyberos. Holy cow. God, what damage. Woof. These max levels, man. I like to think of myself as a pretty high-level player, but then I see these cards, and I just am absolutely floored by how hard they punch. And speaking of, we're about to have some fun. That was probably a mistake, but oh well. And then buff. Bloop. Huh, that worked. And that's the thing too, is I always underestimate Big Game Hunter. I always read it, I'm like, yeah, it seems fine, whatever, but I also forget it's max level, so it's almost double. Not quite double damage, but it is a dramatic amount of damage. Yeah, so it's good. And going against Necrons, this worked out really well, so I don't have to worry about Psychic, because I will not take any Psychic. So we will go Psychic. So I just get the free ready, and my cards got their stats buffed. Like, look at this. He's doing 400 damage. The other thing, too, is one of the reasons I'm running in this campaign is that percent bonus is based on their current attack stat. So it's also buffed by the modifier for this campaign. Just for fun, I'm probably going to regret this. I'm going to see if my Astaroth is scary enough to punch straight through those shields. I'm guessing he is, especially since I'm about to do the buffed attack. Like, look at this. So he's doing 500 damage, plus a little bit of a ready. I want to say that's, what, 15%? 30%. Wow, it's not bad. And then he's also going to get the 15% on top for Azrael's ability. So let's see how hard he hits. I'm guessing like almost 800. Yeah, 740. Not that bad. He just killed... God. Just killed the Deceiver straight through his shields. Aye. Okay. Yeah. There you go. There's Supreme Grandmaster Azrael at his absolute scariest, with a deck that was pretty good. And a pretty terrible matchup, actually, because that was a really scary thing to fight against. Yeah, there you saw it. So that was my 4 games. Played with 4 different warlords, 4 different matchups. Talked a little bit about the mission. Hopefully that's helpful. Enjoy the anniversary. I was under the impression that there's going to be multiple campaigns, but looking at this now with the free cards here, it's possible this may be quote-unquote it. It's still a lot. I really recommend getting that copy of Helbrecht if you don't have him. He is just completely insane. Like, this warlord is absolutely incredible. Not as good, I think, as some of the other warlords in this campaign, but this is max level where you can play with a bunch of different combinations and mix and match your stuff. You know what? Nah. So appreciate when they allow you to mix factions, but most abilities are keyword specific. So, for example, if I had mixed my cards with Rakarth, the regen would have only applied to the Eldar cards I had in there. So, big shrug. But anyway, there's that. I hope that was helpful, and good luck.